The day has finally come. Finally, after all of these months. Welcome back to Next Level Adventures. I'm Ryan and welcome to episode 2 of the Pajero build series. For almost a year now, I have been planning, saving and building to make this truck into what it is now, and in my opinion, the ideal touring setup for a Mitsubishi Pajero. So it is a 2013 NW GLXR Pajero. It has done 192,000 kilometers in the last 8 years. We have owned it since brand new, and it is an automatic 3.2 litre turbo diesel. So my father owned this car for about 7 of the 8 years that we've owned it, and then I came into the market for a 4-wheel drive. He was going to sell it, and I ended up buying it off him. So if you want to see what it looks like when I bought it, it was a literal pavement princess. It had been off-road, but not much, just the normal, Fraser Island, stuff like that. If you want to see what it looked like before I started building this truck, head over and watch episode 1. That was the whole purpose of episode 1, to show you guys what it looked like before I got my hands on it. So here we are, let's get into episode 2 and begin this rundown. I'll be running you guys through absolutely every single detail. So grab yourself a cold beverage, sit down and enjoy. So on the front of the truck, we are running an ARB Deluxe BULLBAR. This has always been on the car. We got it installed just after new. I have no ambitions of changing this BULLBAR. Like I said in episode 1, it works great. It's made well. It's a quality product. We're just running some cheap Illuminator spotties on the front here with a GME aerial. This is exactly the same as it was in episode 1, and I don't plan on changing it. It's got a custom off-road bash plate underneath here, 3mm stainless steel that covers the radiator and the sump. It works an absolute treat. I have absolutely put this car to its paces when it comes to off-road obstacles over the last 12 months since having that bash plate on, and there's no damage under there. So that tells to how well the custom off-road bash plate works. There is a review on the channel if you want to go take a look at it, but that's what the front of the car is. It's just a very basic setup on the front here, exactly the same as before. So ARB bar, cheap spotties, custom off-road bash plate and GME aerial does the job for what I need. So coming around the side here now, we're running a Safari AirTech snorkel. It is a plastic snorkel, was installed by ARB. The reason that I went with the Safari snorkel over a stainless snorkel, I just think it suits this car better, as well as it's a lot easier and cheaper to replace this plastic snorkel if I bump into something than it would be a stainless steel snorkel, because this car is no pavement princess anymore. I do go to some places where potentially the snorkel could get damaged. So Safari snorkel installed by ARB, that's what we're running in terms of a snorkel. So moving down now, we are running a 2-inch Old Man Emu suspension lift with 33-inch Goodyear Wrangler DuraTrac mud terrain tyres. They have been on for a while and they work great. I think that a 2-inch lift in the Pajero is absolutely perfect. You can't go any higher than 2 inches legally without putting a body lift in, and well, they're illegal. They also make the car drive like crap. So 2-inch suspension lift with 33-inch tyres. They are 285/70 17s. So many people were telling me when I went to put these on, you can't fit 33s on a Pajero. You can. The front caster just had to be moved all the way forward. So there is no scraping on these at all, even when off-road, which I was really happy with. There's no poke either, so they are well within their legal limits. So the total lift on this vehicle is 75mm from what it was before. We've got a 2-inch lift and the tyres are 2-inch bigger, so I went from 31 to 33, so it's about 75mm of lift in total from where it was at its factory level. And I think it's perfect. It works well. It hasn't had any issues off-road yet, so I think it's at the perfect level of lift. So moving up now onto the roof, it is completely overhauled. Completely different setup altogether up here on the roof to what it used to be. Up here now, I've replaced absolutely everything on the roof. So stock standard, the Pajero comes with those flimsy plastic roof rails, and they do a very terrible job of distributing weight. And well, I wanted to put a fair bit of weight up on my roof. So what did I do? I replaced them, and now I'm running the OCAM 4x4 steel backbone system. So there are actually a few options that people can go for who have Pajeros who are looking at doing something like this. You have OCAM, you have Rhino Pioneer backbone system as well. There are a few options of replacing those standard crappy plastic roof rails. I went with the OCAM ones because they are cheaper and I think that they look better. The load rating is exactly the same to the Rhino Rack ones. There's no real difference at all. Structural integrity is the same. So with this OCAM backbone system, traditionally you would mount a platform rack on there. I haven't done that. I actually decided to make my own crossbars on this. So there is a video up on the channel if you want to see what they look like and what this looks like without the rooftop tent on top. But so there are my own crossbars going across there. There are 4 points all along this backbone system and the weight is distributed perfectly. So on top of the crossbars, we have a Drifta Wildlands 1.2 Desert Cruiser rooftop tent. Now I love this rooftop tent. I had my eye on this rooftop tent since it came out because in my opinion, it is the perfect rooftop tent for a Pajero. It just looks great. The slimline design of this tent, as well as the way that it sets up, fits perfectly into my setup. So this is a side access rooftop tent. Predominant access is right here where I'm standing, so it doesn't get in the way of my 270-degree awning. That is the main thing that made me choose this rooftop tent, is I could still have my 270 awning and it wouldn't impact how I got in and out of my rooftop tent. As well as when it's set up, it's a big square. Unlike some of the triangle ones with low headroom in them, this is just a huge square. It pops up and the room is fantastic up in there. It was really good value for money and I'm really happy with it. So we're still running the XTM 270 wing awning on the other side. That's mounted to the OCAM backbone system. As well as on this side now, we are running a kick-ass shower tent for those longer trips when we're out in the bush. So up there right now, there's about 70 kilos up there on the roof. The Pajero roof load limit is 100 kilograms. Mitsubishi do not state an off-road rating for their roof, and most manufacturers will not state an off-road rating for their roof. The off-road rating comes in with the roof rack manufacturer. For example, Rhino, who have been under a lot of scrutiny lately, they have an on-road and off-road rating. For your physical roof of the vehicle, very few manufacturers have an on-road and off-road rating. It's just one flat figure, and for the Pajero, that is 100 kilograms. So I'm still under my roof load limit. The OCAM backbone system actually has a higher load rating than the roof itself, so I don't have to worry about that being overweight, and there's no off-road rating for the OCAM system. So moving into the back of the car now, we have got ourselves the roof top tent ladder is strapped to the back of the seat, so it's a really handy design, this little thing here. So it literally just straps around the headrest there, doesn't get in my way at all, and it sits perfectly up against there. Quick release too, I just pull that out and I've got my ladder ready. Down here we've got ourselves a BOAB 40-litre poly water tank that sits behind the back seat. So no one really ever sits in the back. I've even contemplated potentially taking them out and putting something in here for episode 3 of the Pajero build series, which I'll be working on after this. As you know, 4-wheel drive builds, they rarely ever stop. So what I like a lot about this is that this tank here comes out, the gravity fed hose comes down here, the shower tent is right here. So it folds out to be just there, and the any source shower head will source from a bucket that I'll sit at my feet here. So this water tank at the gravity fed rate will pump about 2.5 litres per minute. The shower pumps at 2.5 litres per minute. So if I wanted to, I could literally have a 40-litre shower out in the bush. Not that I'd want to, but it helps, especially when there are larger groups and I've got the only shower tent. Everybody's using my water, so to speak. So if I really wanted to, I could have a really long shower out in the bush. It's really handy to have. So 40 litres is what I was carrying before, but in jerry cans. Now it's a great utilization of this space because, like I said, no one really sits there. If they wanted to, they still could because it's a flat surface, just put your feet on top of it. So it's really handy having that there. So now it's time for the money, so to speak. This is where the most significant change has happened in the back of the vehicle. So before, the fridge was sitting over this side and that was it. Just a fridge and a battery box in the back. Now, completely changed. So we're still running the same fridge, Waeco CFX 80. That is due to change, however, due to its very high amp draw. It draws a lot of amps. But however, so we've got Waeco CFX80 sitting on top of this XTM pull-out camp kitchen. So this is a really handy piece of gear. This fully extends all the way out. If you guys have seen the cook-up videos that I've done, you would have seen this already in action. Great piece of gear, and I'm really happy with it. The fridge slide still works as normal also, so the fridge can still come out on top of that fridge, so on top of that pull-out kitchen. So it's really handy to have that here. On this side, just 2 drawers. So we've got the standard XTM drawers. The top one is the fixed top, and the bottom is the sliding top. So has a little table on it here, as well as if I really need to, I can actually slide the whole drawer out. I don't think I have any need to do that. I don't plan on doing that anyway. But underneath here, now we have an Enerdrive 100 amp hour lithium battery with a 40 amp charger underneath in the 3rd row seat well underneath this piece of plywood. So there was nothing in that space before at all. This car had been a 5-seater basically since we bought it. We've never used the back 2 seats. They were completely out of the car, so I turned that into my battery storage. I think it's a great utilization of space. It's all under there, and I'll pop some photos up on the screen so you guys can see that, what it looks like under there. But it just runs out the side, Anderson plug for the fridge, and a couple of 12-volt sockets, and that's me sorted for 12 volt. Inside these drawers on the bottom one, we have got cooking gear, cooking utensils, the shower, a little battery pack for up in the rooftop tent, and a little inverter. So that's all that really fits in that bottom drawer. The bottom one's a little bit smaller than the top one. In the top, we've got a fire extinguisher, we've got a fire pit, some pegs and stuff, and at the moment just the buckets, the collapsible buckets that we use for water and stuff like that when we're using the shower. In here will also probably go some food when we go out on a trip. So if necessary, I can actually fit a 3rd drawer on top here, but I don't see that as necessary. I don't think it's necessary at all. I think that's a bit overkill. Maybe if I ever go out touring for like a month or something, I might put something up there, but I don't see the need for that yet. So on the back of the car here, we've also done a spare tyre cover delete, which you will find a video on the channel for as well. Basically, we cut off the rear tyre cover here that covers this because you couldn't fit a 33-inch tyre on there at all. And that was quite frustrating because I wanted to have the same size spare as the tyres that are on the vehicle. There was no way that I was going to run a smaller spare tyre or even a different spare tyre to what I had on the vehicle. So I cut it off, relocated the number plate here, and it works a treat. So there is a video on the channel that you can see that also. So the final thing that I sort of missed was under the hood. So there is absolutely nothing that has changed under the hood. It's completely stock still. And the only thing due to change up there is a pre-filter. So pretty uninteresting under the hood. There's been no performance modifications, exhaust, anything like that. It's still exactly the same as it was in episode 1. So that's pretty much it. We have run through everything on this car now. If you guys have any questions that you'd like to know the answer to, pop them down in the description below, or follow me on Instagram. Put that up on the screen now. Send me a message and I'll be sure to get back to you guys. I'm happy to answer any questions that you have regarding this setup, especially if you're planning on running something similar.
The next part of this episode was filmed as a completely different video, a toys episode hosted by MudDuck's 4-wheel drive touring. In this part, I'll give a basic rundown of the touring setup, fully set up and ready for use. If you want to see the full continuation of this clip filmed by Steve at MudDuck's 4-wheel drive touring, head over to MudDuck's 4-wheel drive touring to see that. However, here is that short segment of the vehicle fully set up.
Here we are, set up, so let's go through it.
Yep, so it's pretty self-explanatory. It probably takes about 5 minutes, maybe leaning towards the 10-minute side to get it fully set up like this. So this is obviously the rooftop tent up there, opens up like this, nice space up in there. Got a little power pack in here that goes up there. There's a LED light strip across the top. So that literally took like 2 minutes to set up there from the time the hinges were popped to the in the air.
Certainly doesn't take long.
Got the shower tent here. That's, well, it doesn't have to always be used as a shower tent. It can be used to change things like that in here, and that works well with the ladder. So you can still get in and out of the wildlands with the ladder here. That's why I like it, because most other slimline rooftop tents are the pop-up ones, and access is from the back.
Yep.
Or you have limited side access where, for instance, you'd only be able to get in at sort of like this side. Well, that wasn't going to work for me because I wanted this setup. So this is how it works. Obviously, it's fairly private unless, you know, someone's asleep and someone's having a shower. Not that that's ever going to happen, but
You'd hope the person that's sleeping up there is probably friendly with you anyway, wouldn't you?
Right, and then the awnings. So this awning can be left like this, but not really recommended. So the poles, besides a couple of little lights that are cable tied up in here, so there's these strip lights here that go here, and all I got to do is run the plug literally right down in there.
Yep.
And they turn on, give light throughout this whole thing here. So what I like about these is these poles. So the majority of 270 awnings that I seen, you had the poles that were separate, and you had a little, like, put them up into a slot there. These ones, you just undo the Velcro, and they pop down like this, drop down, little bit of pressure, and they just lock tight like that. All four poles are the same. They're quite good. I haven't really had too much of a hard time with this awning. The poles here are a little bit bent up from just some bad wind we got before everything was pegged in. So before I could even peg it in, the wind picked up and bent that upwards. But even with that being the way that it is, it's actually more practical because I'm tall. I can now fit under here better. So it's good like that. And here
nature coming to the rescue.
Yeah, literally. And so we have set up for you guys the camp kitchen. So you've got your prep space here, your cooking space here. This can be used on both sides. So I can cook from this side or that side. Predominantly it's from this side here. And this can be turned around to face any way also. And we've got our little chopping board thing over here. You can put your spices on and stuff like that. Yep. Like I was doing in all my cooking videos. But
so if you had a friend helping you, they can get in between the door here and the bench.
Yeah, and the fridge slide still works on this, the beauty of it.
Nice.
So you can even just have it like this if you wanted. And that's that. So it's fairly good like that, I think. And I'm really happy with it. I'm really looking forward to getting out on a bit of a longer trip and actually testing it out. So I'll do a video on how this setup went after the trip, because that's what I built it for. I've got a 2-week off-grid trip coming up now in just a few weeks' time that I'll be putting this setup to the real test in.
Nice.
You know, and fingers crossed it all works. I'm sure it will, but yeah.
Plenty of thinking gone into this, and looks like it should do the job.
Yeah, I did kind of have the idea in my mind the whole time I was building it of what I wanted. There are a couple of little things that changed, but really not much. Like most of it was, regardless of what gear I was going to have, it was going to look similar to this. The only thing that actually changed in the end was the dual battery that I went with. Instead of going with an AGM battery like I was originally planning to, I went with the lithium battery because I just couldn't say no to the price. So
good.
That's that. I think all that is left to actually do here is wire in a couple of 12-volt accessory sockets, and then that's literally it. Then she's done.
And even your awning lighting here will help shine down onto your kitchen area, so you don't have to add any extra light.
This is very conveniently located here. Obviously this pole will be set up in when we're camping, and this light right here literally shines straight down onto this. The beauty of this as well is I have one spare light that goes onto this kit here. There's only 3 on here, there's 4 in the kit, so if I really wanted to, I could have another one, you know, coming off that over here or something like that, to give some more light. I do also have that light strip in the back there.
Tucked in there.
That's tucked onto the back seat. That has probably got less of a practical use now that I've gone with this setup compared to the old setup. The old setup it was pretty bad. I was even cooking off the fridge in the old setup. It was that bad. Actually, you probably remember that mud duck out at the Goulburn River.
Yes.
And so that light back there was predominantly to give me light when I was prepping in here. Now we've moved the prep space to out here, so this little guy up here does well. And I'm pretty sure, regardless of whatever awning I go with, I'll do something
Similar
like this
setup.
again, and they were just cheap, 29 or 30 bucks, something like
Yeah.
that. So there you have the setup fully set up. Well guys, I hope that you enjoyed this one. If you did, please consider liking this video. Head over and subscribe to Next Level Adventures so that you don't miss anything that we do. All of our adventure videos, campground showcases, and build updates are all over there on Next Level Adventures. You can't find us anywhere else. Anyway guys, thanks for watching, and as always, we will see you in the next adventure.